is a PowerPoint slide. Wow, this is going to be a tough crowd. Holy crap. All right, everybody. So those of you who are taking the assessment, I really, really, really appreciate it. Does anybody here know who the hell we are? Okay, well, I know you do. Okay, and I know you do, because we've already talked. Who am I?
Proud now.
Okay.
I bet you are aware of you through Emily Bender.
Ah, yes, Wealth Voice. Yeah, her program's amazing. Okay, this isn't an advertisement for her program, but it's pretty darn cool. So we are the largest podcasting company for financial advisors. Okay, we've done over 5,000 episodes with zero compliance issues for advisors over the last 5 years. So that's all I'm going to say about that. All right? But today I'm going to talk about the return on investment for podcasting, because I'm the only person who does sales for my organization, and I have to talk. Come on in. No, come on in, guys.
Okay.
Oh, geez. Come on.
You almost knocked me
Yeah,
out.
that's all right. So I have to deal with this all the time from a sales objection standpoint, so I'm going to cover that. But before, I have a couple of quick questions. The first question for all of you is this. How many of you hate when the market goes down that your clients call you and ask you what the hell's going on? Okay, I'm assuming nodding, that's fine, you don't have to raise your hand. Okay, second question is, how many times do you say, we've planned for this? Okay? How many of you have to remind them that they have a 3 to 20 year plan that you've helped build for them? Okay, right, most of you, right? I'm in the same position you are. Most of you will come to me expecting within 3-6 months, you're going to make like a seminar off of podcasting. I'm going to tell you right now that's not the case. This is a long-term marketing and branding campaign. If you do what we tell you to do, which you are all magnificently famous for not following, which I love you all, you are my target market, and I only work with advisors, but for some reason, you guys like, I figured it out myself. Okay, just 5,000 episodes. I got this. We know what works, all right? But you have to take a long-term marketing lens. So I was at Carson's event recently. I don't know if you guys know who that guy is. A little successful. I don't know if you know this, but the plan that he is, come on in. But the plan that he is, hey, what's up, man? That's all right. The plan that he is executing right now, he came up with 10 years ago. And the plan 10 years ago that he executed, he had planned 10 years before that. So this whole idea of Carson Partners, how they rebranded everything, this was all part of a long-term marketing play. All right? I'm not saying that all of you want to be the next Ron Carson, but if you truly want to stop being the best kept secret in your area, which I hear from you all the time, you have to take a long view. Okay? Now we're going to talk very quickly about the assessment. My background is actually as a therapist. Okay? Not a good one. I tried really, really hard to be a great therapist, and then I found out women don't want to talk to men, and men don't want to talk to men. I'm a man. So it was very hard to build a sustainable practice. It was very, very, very difficult. I studied behavior. So there's a place called Boys Town. Does anybody know where that is, where teenage kids live? Okay, I lived there with my wife. We had 36 teenage boys through our home over 5 years. Okay? We were a behavioral program. Everything was a behavioral interaction. Sean, what you're doing right now is you're making great eye contact with me. I really, really appreciate it. Eye contact shows to me that you really are paying attention to what I'm saying. Can you grab your card and write down positive 100 points? Okay? That was my life for 5 years. I studied behavior. Then I met this crazy Canadian guy named Kirk Lowe. He's my business partner. He ran one of the most premier marketing and branding companies in financial services. I was like, I don't know what you know. You don't know what I know. Let's figure out if we can do something together. Then he came up with this idea of an assessment. He said, Matt, there's all sorts of companies that are doing surveys on marketing. Okay? In fact, our friends at Snappy Kraken have done an amazing survey on marketing. So we're like, we can't do that. We have to do something different. So we broke down over 7 categories what behaviors and philosophical outlook you all have to actually start doing attraction marketing. Marketing is fundamentally changed. How many of you have felt that? How many of you are getting the same amount of referrals that you were getting 10 years ago? Okay, he just giggled, so we know that that's not true. I was just talking to a client of ours, and he said, Matt, 10 years ago, 100% of my business came from referrals. 100%. I said, what was your marketing budget? He said, 0. I had no marketing budget. I said, okay. What is your marketing budget today? 14% of gross. Okay? He's $1 million producer, so somebody do the math. It's a lot of money. But the problem is it's not integrated. So what he did was he hired every marketing company out there. Snappy Crack and White Glove. There's a one that gives you leads from Smart Asset. Thank you, Smart Asset. Oh my God, all of them. But he's just throwing a bunch of stuff up against the wall, and he was like, Matt, why isn't it working? It's because he didn't ask and answer these sort of questions. All right? So how many of you got the assessment done? Okay? What did you feel about the questions?
Different.
Different?
Activity oriented.
Activity oriented. Has anybody asked you those questions before? No. Okay. All right. We really worked hard on making sure. So this is what we refer to as our short form assessment. We have a long form assessment. It's 120 questions, and you got to pay for that one, right? But what that does is that actually takes you through our 7 categories and then gives you a game plan on how to solve for the gaps, all right? So just to give you an example, one of your gaps might be you don't have an ideal target market. So who here has what they think is a niche? Yes, sir. Who's your niche?
ESOP participants with balances over $1 million.
Geographically located?
Can be anywhere in the U.S.
Anywhere in the U.S. Specific kind of company?
They tend to be manufacturing firms.
Okay.
Could be professional service organizations.
Okay.
Engineering type firms.
Okay. So what he did there is he just gave, manufacturing. And if he just did manufacturing ESOP people, that's a niche. But then you just started adding some things, which is probably wildly successful for you. But we want you to really niche down. You. Yeah, dude, oh my God. Okay, that's a freaking niche, right? My favorite thing in the world is to come to conferences like this, and I say, what's your niche? And they say, women. Women, 51% of the population is your niche. That's the majority, man. Yeah, it's a huge niche, man. You can't market to that. So we want you to focus as possible. One of my favorite stories is an advisor who only works with nurse anesthetists. By the way, I only do that in presentations. So hard to say. And I get very happy with myself every time I say that.
You did good.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So, oh my God, he is now the nurse anesthetist guy. He speaks at all of their conferences. He's the finance guy. He doesn't pay for that. They pay him to speak. He is paid to prospect. Took him 10 years. His practice, where'd he go? Oh, there he is. So I don't know if you guys know, we have kind of a celebrity. We have a couple celebrities in the room. But yeah, so David Grau Jr., Session, raise your hand. Yeah. So his practice is worth more money because of that. He does not ever have to pay for any leads or do anything because his practice is known for that. He has predictable income coming in all the time. That practice is a higher multiple valuation. Come on in, dude. No, you're good. I know, you're good. Higher valuation because of that level of niche. Okay? Super important and powerful. All right? Okay. Took him 10 years. How many of you have been doing the same marketing for 10 years? You have. Yeah, we'll talk to you about you later. Okay. We have an outlier here, but that's okay. So none of you, right? How many of you come to conferences like this and meet some unbelievably handsome guy like me and be like, I'm going to buy his stuff and I'm in. I'm going to do it. And then you do it for 3 months and then you're like, it doesn't work. You don't tell your clients that, man. I have no hair because of this. drives me crazy that what you tell your clients every single solitary client meeting is the exact opposite of what you do in marketing. Okay? So now we're going to switch gears. I'm going to talk about actually what you get for podcasting. All right? Number one, I want all of you to know that less than 2% of financial service professionals are podcasting. Less than 2%. So it is not saturated. Okay?
2%.
2%.
Wow.
Here's the other thing. You can do it. I have met with almost every compliance person. Raymond James, Ameriprise. Ameriprise. They looked at our processes and said, well, we're not going to do it, but wow, you have it dialed in. You have answered every question we needed to ask about being able to successfully have our advisors podcast. Problem is they don't want to do the work on the back end. And I'm not picking on Ameriprise. I'm just saying a lot of larger broker dealers have issues with that because they don't realize that it's actually work for them to help their advisors produce amazing content. All right, 5 aspects of ROI. Number 1, how many of you have local artwork in your office? Yeah? Okay, wow, a lot of you. Okay. When you purchased that, Jerry, did you say to yourself, I'm going to hang that on the wall and I'm going to make $100,000 from that painting? Probably not. The content that you create has value. Okay? You are a storyteller. That has value. So part of what you're paying for is actually the art that you create. Art has value. Now, you might not agree with that. I don't care. It's true. Okay? So there's number 1. Number 2, it is the best client communication tool you were ever going to have. I got into an argument. I don't think he's here. Probably not, because I think I pissed him off earlier. He said to me, Matt, you're telling me, he didn't sound like that. Matt, you're telling me that my clients don't open my emails. And I said, how many clients open your emails? Do you think he knows? No, he assumes because it's an email coming from him that they want to know and they open it. What is your open rate for emails? Does anybody know roughly? What is it? 10%. Wow, that's high. Yeah. Anybody else? 33? Holy shit. Okay, you and I. Yeah, wow.
Mine's 36.
Yours is 36? Okay. Yes? Yeah, that's a great question. Come on in.
It's done. FMG does it for me, and I can see open, I can see click-through rates, I can see everything.
Diana, what is normal client communication email open rates that you guys have seen, roughly?
At Snappy Kraken,
Yeah.
our top, like I was just going over a top newsletter, was at like 33.
Okay.
But I would say more average is going to be 20 to 25.
Okay.
Now, our content's really amazing. And you have to think about the nature of a client list is they know you, right, versus a prospect list. But it's going to ride around there.
Okay. It's probably a lot less than what most of you thought, right? So that means 80%, let's flip the numbers, 80% aren't opening your email. So newsletters are actually even worse, okay? Podcasting is opt-in. They opt in for your content. The open rate for podcasts after opt-in is really, really, really high because you get it on your phone. Sean, do you listen to podcasts? Oh, dear God, dude, why are you in the front row? Yes, okay. So you listen to podcasts. When a new podcast from your favorite podcaster, you get notified, is that correct?
Correct.
Right, so it's opt-in marketing. But it's an unbelievable client communication tool, and here's why. If you do it correctly, what happens is, let's say you are trying to, sell something to an existing client, which, I don't know about you guys, but that's awesome, right? It's easier to sell to an existing client than get a new one. And so you decide, I want to bring on a trust attorney. So this is an actual real-life case study from one of our clients, okay? Like many of you, I've got 100% of my clients' assets. Well, we all know that's not true. You guys can keep lying to yourself about it. So he brought on a trust attorney. And the trust attorney opens up the podcast by saying, I have an entire drawer full of trusts that have been signed and I've been paid for that have not been funded. And that statement brought him $3 million in new assets. because a client called him from listening to the show and said, oh my God, I'm the person who that trust attorney was talking about. Can you imagine if you can have a captive audience of being able to upsell them to new products and services with a captive audience who's opted in? So greater share of wallet and amazing client communication. Number 3, okay? Number 3 is actually my favorite. I just got done interviewing a gentleman named Rob Sandrew. He's with a company called Integrated Partners. And Integrated Partners' whole philosophy is partnering CPAs with financial advisors and having them both do joint marketing together. Okay, and it's a wonderful program. One of the greatest things about our system is we have a guest system. So what you do is this. There's a CPA that you want, okay, I'll ask that. Who in here has a CPA that they have a great relationship with? Okay, you in the back. You don't have a name tag on. What's your name? Kyle. Todd? Kyle. Damn, I was way off. All right, so, okay, Kyle. So you have a good relationship with this CPA? I do. Okay. What would happen if you brought that CPA on a podcast? What do you think that would do to your existing client base and what that CPA thinks and feels about you?
I think it'd be huge. I mean, I think that more clients would actually probably use our CPA as well. And then I think that a lot of the clients would come to us and go, gosh, I didn't know you worked with a CPA, or wow, your CPA sounded really great and knowledgeable. I'd love to work with your CPA, and all of a sudden,
Sure. So if it's not your CPA, what this basically is a testimonial. Yes, I'm using that word without it being a testimonial. If a CPA comes on your podcast, they are endorsing you as the financial advisor that they like and trust. If not, why would they be on the show? And here's the other good thing. If you do it right, it's a 30-minute commercial about how awesome they are as a CPA. So guess what they want to do? They share it with their whole client base. We have an advisor in Long Island right now who's had to hire 3 junior wealth advisors because of this CPA strategy. It works. Okay? You can do it with estate planning attorneys. And I'm going to give you a free thing that you normally have to pay for. And if you're not writing things down, just remember this, because this is important. It's called the 12 by 20 technique. Here's what it is. You're an advisor?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me this. Close your eyes and think of your favoriteest client in the whole wide world, that when this person calls, you're like, yay! Who is that? First name only, please.
Sandra.
Sandra. Okay, what is Sandra's favorite thing to do besides meet with you?
She likes hanging with her
Grandkids. Okay, all right. If you went to her and you said, I want to do a podcast that is going to be directed to your grandkids, who do you want me to interview in this area that your grandkids would just freak out if I interviewed? Do you think she'd be able to answer that question? Okay, maybe it's like a freaking clown or something scary like that, right? Here's the fun part. So you get her to give you the name of that person. Okay, so this can, by the way, not necessarily be a freaky clown. It can be a sommelier. It can be a yacht salesman. It can be a high-end real estate agent. Okay, any of these people, right? And then what you say is, you call that person up. Hi, I'm a financial advisor and I work with high net worth people. One of my clients wants me to interview you because her grandkids love you. Do you think that person's going to want to be on the show? Okay, great. Yeah, right. Even if it's a clown, which I'm sorry, I'm just really fixated on the fact there's probably a clown in this situation. But then what you do is you go back to her and you say, okay, I got him. So here's what I'd like you to do. How many other grandparents do you know that like the same person? They're going to know those people. So here's what all I want you to do. I'm going to interview this person. Whatever questions you want me to ask this crazy clown, I'm going to ask, but I'd like for you to share this episode with your friends. Do you think she would do that? Rinse, lather, repeat. Rinse, lather, repeat.
So, sorry,
Yes.
demographics for podcast listeners. Do they skew younger?
So that's very interesting. Yes and no at the same time, right? So the fastest growing group are Generation X, which is my generation, which, by the way, nobody markets to at all for some strange reason, even though most of us are Henrys, right? High earning, not rich yet, and really great target market people. Millennials are the largest consumer of podcasts, which brings me really to the fact that this is number 4. It is easier to refer somebody to a podcast than it is to call my guy. Millennials don't call the guy. Millennials don't text the guy. Millennials will try to figure out any other way to communicate with that person. And if you don't exist in that sphere, you don't exist to millennials. All right? So there's a guy, Bill Cates. Does anybody know who Bill Cates is? Yeah, who is he?
He's a referral guy.
Referral guy, right? He's written like 7 books on referrals. I presented this to him when Kirk and I first started, and he just laughed. He was like, dude, are you kidding me? I was like, why? What did I do wrong? Because he's rather critical. I don't know if he's an old guy, very critical. He said, Matt, it's easier to refer somebody to a podcast than it is to call my guy, and that's my biggest struggle right now. I write these great scripts for people, and they deliver it to somebody, and they're like, I'm just not going to do that. But it's easier to say, hey, listen to my advisor's podcast. You're sitting around the dinner table. Everybody's talking about this right now, guys. The market's in the crapper. Inflation's crazy. Real estate just took a dump. You don't think that people are talking about this at the dinner table with their friends, Thursday night wine club? And if you were able to say, look, my advisor just addressed this on this episode. Let me show you how you can subscribe to her podcast with one click. And then every time you come out with a new show, that prospect will listen to the show, okay? Here's a couple of overcoming objections things that I want you to do. There is no possible way to know who's listening to your podcast. Okay? No way. Triton Research, which is our major research company, has been trying to figure out how to do it for a while. And because Spotify and Apple don't share information with anybody, we can't find out. We can get rough ideas, and we actually provide that for all of our clients. All right? The other major objection with that is people will say to me, Matt, I want to have 10,000 people downloading my episodes. Okay? You are in the top 1% of all podcasts, period, at 8,000 downloads. 8,000. The average podcast gets less than 300. Okay? So think about this. How many new clients do you need from a podcast? If you did that ultra high net worth strategy that I just said, your A++++ client, if you got one of those, how would that be?
Fantastic.
I'd like that, right? And in fact, we've grown our company, Proudmouth, exclusively on our podcast, which some of you don't even listen to, and we do over 150 episodes a month with you people, right? So that's number 4. It's easier to refer somebody, right? The 5th one, net new assets. It's 5th for a number of reasons. Number 1, because I didn't want to start with it, because then you weren't going to listen to anything else I said for the other 20 minutes that I'm talking here. If you do, we have 9 podcast growth strategies. All of these have been proven to work with financial services professionals. If you just did the 12 by 20, here's the deal. You don't even have to do it as a podcast, guys. Just go to your best client and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody that you freaking love and would love for me to build a relationship with. And by the way, sommeliers are like the greatest thing to do this with because rich people drink wine. You ask the sommelier questions, you write a blog, shoot a video, I don't care what you do, that's printing money. Printing money. If you don't want to be that aggressive, because some people are like, Matt, that sounds really salesy. I don't know what industry you guys think you're in. But you could also just bring on, do a case study with the CPA. No podcast involved. You don't have to hire us. You don't have to do it yourself. You have to shoot any video. Just do a case study with a CPA. Has anybody done that in here? You have? Great. You have? Great. Yeah. Did that work for you?
We actually do it on our podcast.
Okay.
all the time.
Yeah, there you go.
Probably once a quarter.
Okay.
With an estate planning.
Okay. Have you quantified your podcast spend?
The spend?
Mhm.
I'm sure my partner has.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just got to show up.
All right. Well, that's a sweet deal, dude. Yeah. All right. How many episodes have you guys done?
Somewhere around 160.
Okay. Holy crap. So you've been doing it for a bit. Weekly or bi-weekly?
We started in the pandemic. We had a little more extra time on
Sure.
our hands. We started with 2 episodes a week, dropped down to 1.
Okay. 2 a month, by the way, is the run rate we recommend. if you actually do, so our secret sauce isn't just the great podcast production, coaching, and training, and all the things that we do to make you great behind the microphone and help you grow your practice, but we also write social media assets based off your thought leadership, which actually gives your podcast longer shelf life. So you don't have to produce that much, right? That's fast run rate. I mean, I run a professional podcasting company, and we drop one a week.
Yeah, 2 is a lot.
Yeah.
And now 1's feeling like a lot.
Good. Yeah. And the nice thing about it is you can back off, right? Because you probably already have a dedicated listener base. Roughly how many people listen to your show?
As far as like total downloads go, I don't know, over 100,000, I think.
Great.
Somewhere in that realm.
So if you do the math, how many downloads per episode would that be roughly?
I don't know these numbers.
Okay. Roughly, anybody?
Yeah,
So he's done 150 episodes, about 100,000 downloads? It's about 1,000.
yeah, 700.
Yeah, there, thank you. I knew somebody was going to be way better at math than me on that. I'm in a room of financial advice. So 700 downloads, so you're in the top probably 75% of podcasters. So that's the point, right? This is wide open to all of you. And why some of you aren't doing it is quite surprising. So the objection of ROI is a huge one, right? They want to make sure that the money that they spend is going to have the same sort of end result that you're looking for all your marketing. I get that. Time is another one. So, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, so I'm just going to answer this as our clients. For 2 episodes a month, which are generally a 30-minute episode, it takes them anywhere from 3 to 4 hours of their time to have all of their marketing done. Okay? And it's totally coordinated and integrated, and it all points back to things, and there's SEO optimization and all that sort of stuff. All right? The other thing I get asked a lot is about video. Okay? I'm going to be more honest than I've been already. Nobody wants to watch you on a video for 27 minutes. But that doesn't mean that you still don't need video. Okay? Videos are supposed to be short. Okay? 3 to 5 minutes. Okay? Podcast, the ideal podcast length per research, 27 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
What's the best way to get a video out there? Email, text,
Social media, yes, all of them. Yeah, text them. There's a lot of advisors now who are using like Loom or BombBomb because you can see who's watched it and see your open rates, which is really fantastic. But yeah, social, absolutely. And that gets back to the original question that you guys answered in the survey, which is your ideal target market. You have to know where your ideal target market, where do pilots hang out on social? I know. That's actually why I brought that up. Pilots it's like doctors. People are like, I want to attract doctors. not going to happen on social media, right? By the way, pilots listen to podcasts. That's about it. They're not on Twitter. They're not on Facebook because they don't want to see what everybody else is doing while they're, busy as hell. Now, your manufacturing or anything along those lines, those people are going to be in small business networking groups, absolutely. Small, mid-sized, medium. So you're going to be able to, like LinkedIn is still going to be the best for you. But then you can also create like a private Facebook group, and that works very, very well for that target market. Okay. So questions. I'm done talking at you. What do you guys got? Anything, questions? If you didn't take the survey, please scan that. If you were going to get an email from me that's got a video explaining your score. If you'd like a larger explanation on what your score means, just come to the booth. We got a booth downstairs. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. Yes?
I have an observation. I find fascinating because we spent tens of thousands of dollars in years, right, writing about this niche, blogging about it, writing white papers, doing videos, and then after several years, finally got to very substantial leads in 2022 for that very specific niche. But it's taken years.
Sure.
So it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen overnight, but there are ways to accelerate your influence to make that happen faster, and that's what we do for advisors. We are influence accelerators. Our entire focus is how to take your thought leadership and make it so that you're not being the best kept secret in your area or to your specific target market. And what we're finding is, so does anybody know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
Gary V.
Gary V, right? Okay. Gary does something once and turns it into like a kabillion pieces of content. We have you podcast once and we turn that into 10 to 15 pieces of content. So I don't want you writing blogs. I don't want you shooting video, because if you can do it all at once, you show up, your hair's done nicely, right? Lighting's good. We shoot the video, so it's a video podcast and an audio podcast. We strip out the audio, we turn it into a podcast, we syndicate it to every major player.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I host a mastermind for private equity investment banking people about 9 times a year.
Okay.
And I was meeting with a friend of mine recently, and she said, "Oh, Peter, you should go to the group that organizes their middle market deal maker conferences where people are trying to buy and sell businesses."
Mhm.
And she's like, "You should go to the sponsor of that, Opus. People pay thousands of dollars to go to these meetings." And she said, "You should go to them and say, hey, Opus, more people show up when I host your mastermind, I ask good questions. You should have them start a podcast, and you should interview all these private equity investment people."
Jeff, that's printing money. Why are you not doing that right now?
I just got the idea.
Okay,
Friday.
yeah, great, right, perfect. So, yeah, if you want to partner, yeah, okay. So here's the ultimate question: is our whole job is to make you do as little work as possible, okay? Because most of you aren't great at marketing. You have great ideas, but you need somebody to help you with execution. So we do all of the post-production, we do all the social media writing for you. We actually help coach you to get better behind the microphone. So the idea is that you show up with our professional voice talents, you interview all of these unbelievable people, we take that file, we put it in post-production, custom intro and outro, we syndicate it everywhere, and then we write social media assets based off of that stuff. So syndication in our world is iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, the major podcast players. iHeartRadio, I mean, that's one of the places that we syndicate to. So that doesn't mean you're paid to syndicate. That means that you have access to all of those audiences. Marketing has fundamentally changed. You have to market to your ideal target market in the media they prefer while they're there with organic content. That is the truth and the reality of the world that we live in right now. This isn't cold calling. This isn't harping on your clients for referrals. This is attraction marketing. And you all know people in this industry who have done very, very well by doing it, whether it's with video, whether it's with great email campaigns, whether it's with great nurture sequences, or whether it's with amazing podcasts or that sort of content. And we would love to have the opportunity to be that solution provider for every freaking person in this room. Yes?
I'll just add one thing. I think we've had more success, not necessarily as an attraction for an individual client, but when those clients come in and it's a competitive situation and they're interviewing 3 or 4 different firms, we've had several that came back to us afterward, because after we meet them, we'll send them an episode that we feel like, is really germane to their situation, they might be interested in.
Yeah.
And they'll literally come back and say, we'll say, why'd you choose us? And they'll say, well, you were the only one that sent us the podcast.
Yeah. And again, when you have nobody else in the industry on the grand scheme podcasting, we had a Mass Mutual advisor when we first started, which they're not allowed to do it anymore. They asked for forgiveness, not permission, which we didn't know about, by the way, just so you know. And he's like, Matt, I don't care if anybody listens to my show at all. All I have to do is say I have a podcast, and I'm different than every other advisor who's trying to hawk them a financial plan. So that technique is brilliant, and that's actually part of our 9 podcast growth tactics. Also, does anybody in here do like seminars or educational events? Okay, this is a magnificent follow-up on that. Hey, look, you might not make an appointment today, and that sucks, and you're making a big mistake. But if you want more education like this, we have a podcast, and I'd love for you to subscribe. And then you have it up on your screen. You say, hey, go ahead and subscribe to my show. In fact, we've got a guy who's a Thrivent advisor, and he does workshops all the time. He's been podcasting with us for about 3 years. And somebody just showed up and said, I went to a workshop 2 years ago, wasn't ready, but I've been listening to your podcast over and over again, and it was like 2.5 million.
Wow.
Right?
ROI sucks.
Well, yeah, well, whatever. No comment. They'll let him podcast, which means better a lot of other organizations. But anyway, so guys, if you guys have any questions, we've got a booth downstairs right outside the main lobby. Thank you for taking the survey, for you, those who did. If you already have a podcasting solution, and if you want us to take a look at what you're doing, I'm more than happy to do that. but understand I'm going to give you honest advice. Just talking to a good friend over there. We were having dinner together last night, and he's like, Matt, I'd really like you to listen to the show. And I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to the show, but I'm going to tell you what's going on, right? First observation was they're not consistent on their time. So I didn't have to listen to it. I was looking at the timestamps, and one of them's 58 minutes, another one's 15 minutes. That's not what your audience wants. They want a specific, and we know it's 27 minutes. So, all right, guys. I'm around. Any other questions, please ask, but thank you for coming. I appreciate it.